Hello. Oh, okay. That's good. Hello, everyone. Try not to expose the fact that I have musical instruments piled up everywhere behind me and not organized right now at all. All right, but that's reality. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? There we go. Hopefully you can hear me. Welcome. Doing a Tuesday. Now is a beautiful time to, as usual, set any intentions you may have or any love you want to bring to this container. It's a good time to take a nice deep breath in through your nose and release anything that's no longer serving you. It is a good time to, if you can, just relax and enjoy this information and this stream, this community. We are going to be going into some deeper things today, as you can see from the title. But nonetheless, I just want to take a moment to really ground, being totally honest with you guys. I kept feeling guided to talk about these things today. And I'm feeling like really tired. Like, I don't know. I feel, I don't know, kind of ungrounded. So we'll just see how it flows. I feel like a lot of times when I start this, once I get into it, it's just really clarifying. So yeah, just rolling with it, just trusting it. That's a big part of why I like that I do this every week. Maybe at some point I could do something where it's more like spontaneous. That's kind of more me, is like doing it spontaneous when it feels aligned, when the energy is really high. But it's kind of nice to do this consistently and just show up as I really am, because that's reality. I think it's important to remind ourselves that we all have our ups and downs in this ascension journey and this spiritual journey. It's just part of the process. It really is part of the process, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just So, yeah. Hello, Eternal Truth, beautiful one. Hello, Stinson. Maybe the energy in your life is shifting. Oh, yeah. It's shifting big time. And I'm really loving it. I'm really loving it. I'm really grateful. Lots of really incredible things are happening. So I'm certainly not complaining. But yeah, there's a lot of intense things going on. That's kind of one of the first things I wanted to just touch upon is, some of the astrology. I'm not super into astrology, following astrology, but it's I try to somewhat keep in tune with it, because it is really helpful, and it explains a lot about ourselves and the energy fluxes and the things that in the collective and individually. So just a couple things I want to note is we did just have a new moon, and it's the first new moon of the year, at least what we consider here the new year, but it's still potent. It's a good time to set intentions. Any new moon is always a good time to set intentions. And I feel like the first new moon of the year is a really good time to, just set any intentions you feel may be coming up for this year. And it's really special for me because it's the first new moon cycle in my solar return, in my birthday. The sun is in Aquarius, new moon is in Aquarius. I'm Aquarius sun going into Aquarian age. It's kind of my nature. If you didn't know, whenever your solar return, your birthday happens, that's a really special, potent time for you energetically to be creative and tune in. So just a little tidbit. Another interesting thing. Okay, but there's a lot. That's why I wanted to say that is there's a lot of things happening in Aquarius I see lately, like a lot of unique things happening in Aquarius. So I think that's interesting, considering we're going to the Aquarian age. Definitely picking up that, and I'm interested how you guys feel, because I've been talking to a couple of different friends of mine, and we all notice it just feels like something really shifted the past month, but really like the past, really, I feel it more in the past week and the past few days. Like it just feels like, I don't know if it was Saturn going into Aquarius. That's Vedic astrology. I know there's different kinds of astrology, but I don't know, something where it feels like we can look back on the years 2020, 2021, 2022. It feels like we can kind of now start to look back at those years from a more reflective state. And I feel like that's really, really helpful. Because I feel like we're shifting out of what that intensity, what that junction point was. And obviously it's still happening, and we're still dealing with all the consequences of that, everything that came of that. But it feels like we're in a little more coherent state to kind of, just reflect upon what that really was, and, where we are now. And, I truly see so many people awakening. I don't know about you guys, but I see so many people awakening, and it's just so beautiful, to see. I feel like a lot of us want things to happen right away, but you can really start to see now more long term how things are playing out, and it's pretty incredible. So yeah, hello everyone. Comment ZTF is coming back around from behind the sun. Interesting. I didn't hear about that. See, there's so many interesting things like that, and it really does affect us. More to come. Yeah. And big solar flares, like I said, that's just seems like a normal thing nowadays. Just lots of solar flares. Scott, hello. Good day. Transcode du jour. Shifts happen. Super new open moon day. Feeling grateful for Regan blasts of love and light. Happy life cycle. Eternal truth. Thank you, Transcode du jour. Thank you, Eternal truth. So much love. So much gratitude. Really appreciate that. 9992424. I love it. I love it. And yeah, today's the 24th, so that's perfect. So beautiful. Thank you guys for being here. It's so amazing. Thank you for, like I said, I feel like a little tired and scatterbrained, but just, thanks for being here anyways. It's just part of it. I still know whatever needs to flow today is going to flow. So I just got to be that vessel. So yes, feel free to share it too if you guys, whatever you're going through and feeling. Yes, Annie. In the last few days, no planets in retrograde. Everything should be getting easier for a few months. That's the last thing I wanted to mention about the astrology is, all planets are direct out of retrograde for months. I think until the spring solstice, April 21st. So that's pretty incredible. That definitely signifies potentially a lot of moving forward energy. Ooh. Oh yeah, 24. I didn't even think about that. Eternal truth. That's awesome. Beautiful. All right. Feel free to keep sharing all these beautiful things. I'm glad. Yeah, it does feel lighter. It really does feel lighter. It feels to me too. I don't know again if it's the Aquarian energy, but it feels like really intellectual, which is kind of my element. But even me, like I have to take a step back because I'm like, gosh, I'm literally like just thinking, like I'm going into like I'm thinking so much. I need to like ground in for a second. So I think that's what I'm gonna do is just take a moment with all you guys and just breathe and ground in and feel and tune into the energy. So much love, so much light, so much gratitude for all of this, for all that's unfolding. It's so important. I think we're going to be seeing this more and more in the years to come of just building a real community, and really being like solution oriented and being the resolution, being the change we wish to see. Again, going back to that Aquarian energy that's kind of how I see it is, it's like you got to be brave. It's like, we're leading by example. We're healing ourselves. And I feel like we're getting to this point where we can start to more and more, online and in person, however it organically flows, starting to come together and really be, again, the change we wish to see, as individuals. And especially think about how much it's going to amplify, even just now in this YouTube video. if you're live or even if you're watching this in the replay, it's like even this is a community where we can come together and just support each other and share these thoughts, share our truth, share our experiences. I know for a lot of people, and I've been there too, it can be very lonely when you don't have people to talk about these things with, or people aren't really interested, or, they just don't care, or whatever the case may be. So it's really good to have groups like this where we can, it's never about a guru. It's never about guru or putting someone on a pedestal. It's not about me. It's just, in this circumstance, I'm coming forward and sharing, but it's really about all of us and about what we're all doing together. You know, that's how I see it. Building this new paradigm, and it's a lot of work because it starts from within us. But as we continue to build it, and we can actually be living examples, living models of what's possible. When people think of 5D Earth, like love, harmony, um, just strength, compassion, happy, truly, functioning families, taking care of children, loving our children and taking care of each other, living holistically, eating naturally, going back to this organic timeline, and just letting go of all these inverted things. I think more and more everybody, like most human beings, are so sick of it, but for many, people don't really have any idea of a solution. And that's when, again, the warrior spirit comes in, and it's like we are the solution. And for those of us who are here now and we're willing to do this work, and it can be so hard sometimes, but it's always so worth it. It's really so worth it for yourself, for everyone, because every time you can, come into your love, again, leading by example, healing yourself, and serving others in a way that aligns with you, through your passions, through your gifts. That's really how we shift the world. And, we all have that within us. And I think that's really why we're here. So, yeah, lots of healing and forgiveness emanating. Exactly. And forgiveness is so important. Forgiving yourself, forgiving others. And even today, I'm going to get into like some deeper topics. But, it's like I'm trying to change the status quo around it. It's like, why does this stuff have to be so, it's so triggering, It's like coming at it with love and compassion and openness and just sharing my experience because I truly think it's helpful. Obviously there's a reason I'm being called to share it. And, even when we're talking about perhaps harder truths or darker truths or things, malevolent things or entities or people, it's like, I'm never coming from a place of fear or anger or even resentment at all. It's like you kind of have to grow past that. And it is what it is, it is what it is. But, it's like I said, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, but at the same time, it's like, you don't got to give your power away to these things. Ultimately you realize like it's a choice. And that's just part of the process, it's just coming into your love, coming in because, again, with forgiveness, I think we all know this, but just a reminder, it's like, we have to forgive for our own self, holding on to these things, hating these things, judging these things, resenting these things. It's literally, I think there's like an old Buddhist proverb, like anger is holding onto hot coals. It just hurts you, it really just hurts you. So yeah, that's a really good point. I'm glad you said that, Stellar. Good to see you. Eternal Truth says, I feel like things are about to get more intense in my life, and depending on how I respond is the results that I will receive. Yes, that's so true. It's so true. That's a really, really good point. I feel like, a lot of us need to hear that because it's so true. It's like, even with our, our higher self, even with our, even with, thank you, Boru. Thank you, Alex. Wow, that's so cute. Um, but what was I saying? Yeah, even with our higher self, even with our guides, it's like the more we show up and the more we really truly show up in our integrity, it's like it affects us and all around us because then the more that they can give us, it's like the more we can be trusted with more wisdom, with more of our gifts, with more of our power, the more we truly show up and respond in the best way we can. Beautiful. Hey, bud. Thank you, Boro. Thank you, Alex. Thank you guys so much. It's so kind of you. Always appreciated, never expected. All right. So that was some things that I just wanted to open up with before we kind of get into the deeper things. Hi, John. Okay. So I want to talk about what I've seen. And of course, I realize might be like a strong title, maybe, maybe not, but I feel like it's really important to share this information because it's what I've seen in my work and fellow other energy healers. Truly life changing information, considering healing the CV. I assume you all know what I mean by that. Because that, I feel like we got to get into that because like I'm already seeing some of that stuff unfolding. I don't know about you guys. But before I get into that, I want to talk about the bifurcation quickly because it's just, I don't know, it's just coming up. And if you haven't heard of the bifurcation, that's just a word people use to describe this like splitting that we're seeing right now so intensely. And I just kind of want to riff off of, what I see and maybe it's helpful for you guys. Um, you know, this is just what I see because I look at this stuff, I ponder this stuff, I do energy healing. Uh, you know, so yeah. Yeah, stellar. That's really, really beautiful. Holding space for the malevolent to decide to become benevolent. That is so beautiful. And I've honestly been noticing themes like that too. So God bless you for sharing that because that is so true. And, I think it's important to always, you know, it's a balance of being sovereign and not getting manipulated by those things, but also, holding space and being open to, how much love can really heal. And I've seen things like that. There can be dark things that decide to transform into the light. And honestly, those can be some of the most beautiful things because, they have all that knowledge and experience from being, in the malevolent side of things. If they decide to come into the more into the light, then it's like so much wisdom, so much experience can be had. So yeah, that's a really, really beautiful and important point. Hi, subliminal vibrations. I love you too. Hi, Jada. All right, so let's get into this. I'm going to try to make this clear and quick as I can for now. I feel like it might be coming up more in the future, but it's really important. So with the pole bifurcation, it's just this splitting that we're seeing, and it's so intense. And I don't know why. I just feel like a really strong call to talk about this because I know like a lot of people have been going through intensity with different things, and it's like this has really been very visible. I feel like since 2020, this bifurcation, it's like a polarization, but basically it comes down to like there's these two really intense realities happening, completely different realities. And one is the 5D Earth that we talk about. This is the one where we're literally we're ascending into this golden age where, all these systems are about to transform and, we're moving towards freedom, towards sovereignty, towards love, towards, the organic timeline, natural living, community based, and it's a higher consciousness. Ultimately it's a higher state of being, really is what it is. And then on the other hand we have this transhumanist hellscape kind of reality that's trying to uh, come out. And again, you guys, I don't say this with fear. I say this very, you got to kind of make humor out of it sometimes. And just again, like I said in the beginning, just kind of, it is what it is, just acknowledging it. I'm not trying to cause fear or division or anything, but it's just what I see. And it's very, very obvious, it's very, very clear when you take a step back, you can really see. So then this other timeline, crazy stuff. And ultimately, that's really what it comes down to is like trying to merge humanity with like artificial intelligence. That's really what it comes down to with the AI, because we've talked about that before. That's kind of a deep subject, but you can really, really see it clearly with everything. It's getting very, very obvious um, with the V and just starting to kind of like this fake reality stuff, like having people kind of give up their sovereignty for this. It's like literally the Matrix. And honestly, I could go into like a million different examples. I'm sure you guys are aware of how all these ways that they're low key already have been, and more in the future we're going to see, trying to merge people with artificial intelligence, which I highly don't recommend doing. But the best example I can give is something I recently came across, and it's I hate to even give it any more attention, but it's just a perfect example. So there's this thing, I guess, called Ectolife, if anybody's heard of it. And I guess it's I don't think it exists, but it's an ad for something that somebody's trying to do. Ectolife, you can find it on YouTube, and strong content alert. Like if you're gonna look it up, but I'm just gonna tell you what it is. It's like this ad that they're trying to do. They have this factory of artificial wombs for babies, like human babies, and they actually have this whole ad about it, and they have this whole animation about it. And it's literally, because you guys, I'm sure a lot of you understand what I mean, but this stuff is so supernatural that even I, having seen stuff, crazy stuff, I've seen such supernatural stuff in my life, and even I have cognitive dissonance sometimes. Like, is this even real? Like, this shit is so crazy. But more and more, you start to really, really see it. It's actually more and more in plain sight. Like, this stuff is real. But so it's this. So this is their thing they're trying to do with like having this whole factory of artificial wombs with all these pods, and it looks literally like the Matrix. So it's like you just can't make that shit up. Like that's really, but I only bring that up because that's like an example of like this false, or I don't know, whatever you want to say it, this really negative dark timeline. And so there's this bifurcation happening. That's really, really interesting, right? And then so this really, this ascension timeline, and then this descension timeline, and then there's still a lot of people, I feel like, in the middle, kind of trying to sort it out and trying to figure out what's going on, because reality is literally going off the hinges. That's what I see, at least. You can't really deny it. Internally, externally, everything is shifting. It feels like, and I'm curious if you guys feel this too, but for me lately especially, I just feel like there's so much information. Like it's a lot to process. I feel like there's just so much information coming in, and just like exchanging. I don't know. It just feels like really, we're like on the high seas of like this intellectual age. But yeah, Annie says, I'm super skeptical of the artificial baby factory thing. Seems like fear programming. And you know what? Ultimately, that is what it is. Because I feel the same way. I don't feel like that's actually going to manifest. And if it does, it's not going to be, because people aren't really for that. I don't think most people are really going to stand for that. Honestly, I feel like people are like already starting to resist these things. But that's just a peak example, though, of like the stuff that like that's like the vein of thinking of like the artificial intelligence timeline, where like that's humanity starts to really merge into that with like implants and bioenhancements and all that stuff. And again, I don't fear that stuff. I don't really think it's gonna be popular with most of the people, but it's just something that it's just some interdimensional fuckery that is arising, and I feel like it's just part of it. And that's really why I want to say that. I don't know, because before I get into the V, I don't know what all I can say on here, but before I get into the V thing, I just want to point out that there is this is just again what I see. I don't want to tell people what to think, but just use this for your own, what you're observing in the world. Um, I think that it's really a divine process on how everything is getting sorted out. And I truly think people that have a good heart, that have love, that want to be here and are willing to grow, I feel like it's all going to be sorted out how it's meant to. And then the ones who do decide to go for the negative timeline, and I don't really know anyone like this, but I'm sure they're out there. It's like it's what they're choosing. I don't understand it, but if that's what they want to choose, and then that's what they're just going to choose. And I also feel like there's going to be a lot of and I don't want to scare people, but I just feel like there's going to be a lot of souls that are leaving at this time. And it's not scary because our souls are eternal. And it's not going to be some random thing. It's actually very divine, and it's actually, we all have free will, and we all get to choose what we want to experience, and how we want to experience this huge evolutionary shift. So that's really the heart of why I wanted to explain all that, is like we really do have our choice and how we want to experience the revolutionary shift, because you got to take your power back, because sometimes I feel like people give their power away, or they think, I don't know what's going to happen to me, but follow your heart and you make a choice, and it really is your choice to make, to find that love. And that's really what it comes down to. It really, I feel like, as simple as possible, just comes down to being open and willing, as any healing journey is. Every healing journey is really just a matter of how willing and open you are, you know, to healing, to discovering new things, to letting go of old things, and, walking this path. So it really, really is simple. And yeah, it feels like we're just watching a lot of things unfold very, very naturally. And so, I guess on the note of the bifurcation, I see it a lot. I see it. I mean, I have been seeing it, but I notice it even more. Like, I'm just seeing these waves of um, awakening on different levels, different kinds of people starting to question things more. And, again, that's where we come in. And it's like, we're already building, this new dream, or I don't know if you want to call it a dream, but it's like we're here to build a new paradigm. That's the best way I know how to say it. Many of us are, because we already know that a bunch of people are going to awaken. I'm not worried about that. It's just a matter of, as people awaken, we're already here, and we already have, I guess you could say, like, working models and resources and communities, to assist with this acceleration process. So really, really beautiful stuff. And then, so this is so beautiful, so beautiful stuff. So now, with all that said, I think we can get into the healing the V. Okay. Because this is another thing. And again, I'm going to just be complete. This is why I have this channel, is to be completely honest and authentic with what I see. Again, not trying to tell people what to think, never put people on pedestals, just follow your own intuition. But, you can take what I've seen through my work, through working with these things. So we're also at this really interesting junction where people are awakening, and we made it through this intense wormhole that was like 2020 to 2022. Like, and I'm not saying it's not going to still continue to be intense, but I don't know if you guys feel it, but it just feels like that specific time was like a really important, like, portal. Like, all the decisions and all the things that happened in that period of time, again, this is just intuitively, it feels like that was like really, really important, and we made it through that. And it still is. I'm not saying that, it's over, we're still going through all that, but I just feel like that was a really important time, and that's why it's so nice that we can kind of reflect on that time now. But we made it through that time. There's a lot of positive things happening. When it comes to the world stage, personally, I don't really give it much energy. Actually, I don't give it any energy. I don't really believe in any of it. In any way, I feel like it's almost all just a show. Not that there isn't truth to what it's portraying symbolically. I feel like that's what you can kind of extract from it. But, I feel like a lot of it, it's for the masses. It's not really for us at this point. It's, whatever it is, it's more of a show than anything to me. I don't like to invest my energy in it. But, so to me, I see a lot of positivity. But then I also see we have this upcoming, what to call it. And I could be wrong, I don't know. But from what I see, we have this upcoming, I don't know what to call it, this next thing that we're kind of going through, where, let's just be honest, and none of this is fear-based, you guys, because everything I say, I'm going to have a solution for in just a second. But, we're coming into this point where potentially, I don't know the exact numbers, and I don't really believe it, but potentially millions of people on this earth got the thing. So this is a really interesting time to be at. There's a lot to be said about this. And we are going to talk about, in my experience, you can heal it. You can heal it. Like 100%, you can heal it. So there's no fear mongering about that. And I'm going to talk about how I've seen people actually heal it. So maybe we'll get into that first. So the thing about the Vee, because for me, I already am starting to see things happen from that in my own personal life. I'm already starting to see consequences of that in my own personal life. So that's kind of why I'm speaking on this, of people that are having reactions to it. And so that's why I want to get this information out there, is because you can heal it. And I don't want people to feel stuck or afraid or trapped. And I just imagine that would be a really scary feeling if you feel like you just got this thing. And I don't know if there's anyone, I don't know if anyone like that is listening, but maybe you have family members. I just want to put this out there. If you or someone you know comes to this point where maybe they took it and they ended up regretting it and they're scared now, I just want to kind of give you some resources of what you can do, because you don't have to be, you don't have to like submit to that. There's ways you can heal it. So, and it's really simple. So I'm just going to get to that. So where to dive into this? And there's different angles that come at this at. I'm going to try to be as holistic as possible. And if anyone else has any questions or reflections, feel free to add about it. So it's two parts. If you got this thing, and honestly, this is important to know too. So this stuff has actually been happening before the Vee, because there's already been other V's. What else? People have like mercury. They put mercury in people's teeth. Sometimes the medication, the pesticides. It's heavy metal stuff, and stuff like that. So we've already been in a little backdrop. I do raw Reiki healing or hypnosis healing, and part of that is doing body scans and actually remote viewing what this stuff looks like, and it so we can actually see what that heavy metal stuff is doing. And especially when it comes to the Vee, it's AI nanites. So that's why I want to mention kind of like the tech, the transhumanist stuff, because it is connected to that from what we found. And the thing about that stuff, let's see how deep to go with that. Well, let's just go back to what I was saying. So it's a two part thing to heal the Vee. The first one is spiritual. So basically you need to go within yourself and end that contract, because that was a contract that you made. I know that's messed up, but that's just how they do it. They take everything is contractual to them. So that's the first thing, is, in my experience, ending that contract, and then going in and actually spiritually healing the nanites, the AI, these things that are within you. And just to give a little more backstory, if this is new for people, it's like, so because spiritually is the first step, in my opinion. Spiritually, energetically is the first step to healing it, because this is really where the problem is coming from, is energetically. Because the thing, again, with like these AI nanites and the heavy metal things, the reason they're so bad on your body, that I found, is not because obviously it's not natural for us to have these things in our body, but also it's those metals that in the astral realm, you could say, 4D entities, negative entities, are attached to that. That's what they attach to, is like these metals and stuff. So that's why the first step is to get that astrally cleared. Because once you do that, and again, if you're like, how the hell do I do that? That's why I recommend getting a raw Reiki or an aura hypnosis. Again, I offer these things, and I'm not just trying to like, I'm not just trying to sell my services. It's like, this is like real life-changing stuff, you know. And if you don't have to do it through me. You can go to Aura Practitioners, A.U.R.A. practitioners.com. Yeah, that's a really beautiful way to, you know, and we've had people who've had it like totally clear from it, you know. So really, really beautiful. You know, you can go, because you can actually see it, and you can actually, like, you know, your higher self. And another way you can do it too is, you know, if for some reason that really doesn't appeal to you, because I'm always about empowering people, is, you know, go within yourself, call upon your higher self, call upon God, you know, Divine Mother, Divine Father, the archangels, your guides, and, you know, ask, you know, for them to start healing these things. Because they are real things. Like, we can actually see them. Like, I don't know how to indeed if I should go with that, but yeah, getting those things cleared, and it's very, very doable. It's very, very possible. It's not like some abstract thing. It's like you can actually clear these things, and people, it'll make you feel so amazing. It just makes you feel so good. So that's the first step in a nutshell. And I'll probably make a video. Maybe if I feel called, I'll make a video more structured than this one. I know this is kind of just flowing, but I just want to start to get this information out there, because I see a lot of I see a lot of fear around it. So the first step is the spiritual part. You know, I think a lot of you can understand that. It's clearing that contract, clearing the negative entities and debris or whatever it is that was in it. And yeah, that's the first step. And then once you do that and you're clear, the next step would be the physical detoxing, which would just be heavy metal detoxing, eating really, in what I see, you know, eating really clean, healthy, organic, raw, vegan as possible, at least until you feel like you're clear. Stuff like that. You know, there's a whole protocols for that. Yes, spirulina. I know there's a channel called Medical Medium, and, you know, he has a lot of really good heavy metal detox protocols there. So yeah, that's really what you would do. The first one is the spiritual one. You really want to get clear on that. And the second one is the heavy metal detoxes. And then beyond that, because it's not so cut and dry, it's not so black and white. I think what I see, what it really comes down to is, again, it comes down to the person's choice and the free will. You know, that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to, you know, connecting with love, connecting with God, connecting with, um, who you truly are, cultivating that love, cultivating the light. You know, these kinds of things will naturally heal you. These things will naturally clear you, and keep, and, you know, making these kinds of decisions, loving yourself, loving your body, you know, letting go of things that no longer serve you, forgiving yourself, forgiving others, you know, continuing to seek your inner wisdom and knowledge. These are the things that are going to heal you. And, you know, I would never ever say that these things are more powerful than us, or they're more powerful than God's source. You know, our DNA, like our bodies, are so powerful. We truly can't heal anything, and that's really what I'm saying. But um, yeah, but it comes down to the willingness. You know, are you truly willing to do the work to heal these things, to end those contracts? And it really is a real thing. Like, I'm not trying to make it sound like some abstract thing to just like release these contracts. It's like, this is a real thing. So, you know, if you feel like you can do that on your own, you know, I'm all about empowering people. You know, if you feel like you want to be sure, you want, you know, people that have been doing this. And if anyone's curious, there's the founder of these healing modalities actually has a round table of people who have healed, who have actually encountered these types of things. So that might be really helpful for anyone. So yeah, that's really, really important. The spiritual part, ending those contracts, removing those AI nanites from you, and it involves it. You know, from my experience, there's actual techniques to use to clear these things. And then the physical part, the starting to detox. And again, these are things that we're all doing naturally, anyways, right? Many of us, if you're here, we're already clearing these things. You know, connecting back to God, healing our bodies, loving our bodies, nourishing our bodies, and starting to just walk on that organic path, you know. And again, many of us are already trying to eat healthy as we can and cleanse. And so all these things like really, really help. And obviously, getting on, not taking any more of these things, if someone has taken these, like not taking any more of them, and sending so much love to everyone. You never know how things are going to turn out. So, it's good to be as loving as you can towards yourself and towards others, and, trust what's happening, and trust that, people are on a higher level. People are making um, choices somewhere along the line. It's like you got to have this, again, it's always a balance, this balance of, you got to respect people, and, allow, allow for people to make their own choices and be free. We can't control people, but on this other, but then, so that's so important. You can't change people. And then on the other hand, I feel like it is important to, when we have the opportunity to help, as much as we can, even if it's just sending love to people, because that's another thing. If you have a loved one who maybe got this and you're worried about them, you know, again, you have to respect their free will and what they're doing. But something you can do is just send love to them, without attachments, without any strings involved. Just send love to them. Just send love to them. And another thing you can do is you can start to talk to their, again, when you get into meditation, you can start to try to talk to their higher selves as well, and share how you're feeling. And, that can actually be a really effective way of communication if you're having a hard time communicating to someone in a relationship. So never underestimate the power of love. So I hope that's clear. I'll probably make a more put together video on that some other time. But yeah, if you or someone got the V and you're worried about it, the best thing, and again, I'm not just trying to sell myself, but truly the best thing, because that's why I recommend the raw Reiki and the Aura Truth is, the the Aura hypnosis healing. Again, it's the only healing modalities I really know and I really trust that actually acknowledge these things, actually talk about these things, actually go into these things. And you guys, it's not easy, because you come up against a lot of, people that try to shut you down when you start talking about this kind of stuff, saying that it's fear based, or saying whatever. But again, to me, it's not fear based. It's just being aware and being empowered, instead of like not, it's like with a relationship, any good relationship you have with somebody, like divine partnership. If you have a problem with someone and you just never talk about it, it's like, it usually ends up just blowing up in your face, versus if you actually just have those difficult conversations up front, and then it's like there's so much trouble down the road that can just be avoided. So that's how I see it. It's like just being honest and being authentic and being real with the intensity of this reality, and always remembering how powerful we are, how empowered we are, how loved we are. We really, really are. There's really nothing to. We all have human emotions, and we might feel discouraged or scared at times, but just remember, like, we truly have everything we need. And there's so many living examples of that every single day. So yeah, really, really powerful, really, really potent. Again, I wanted to share that because I feel like this is a part of the awakening. I feel like the aftermath of the V's is going to be, it's kind of an important part of this entire awakening process, and that might be kind of a hard truth, but, it's just, I feel like there's a reason it had to play out. And, the choices people made were really, really, the choices people made really, really affected themselves and the collective, for sure. But at the same time, we always have free will. If you're listening to this right now, you have the ability to turn everything around in 1 second. You have free will. That's really what it comes down to. It's not really, just to be clear, because some people, especially if they're first awakening, say they got the V or something, it's like, you feel like helpless, or you feel like this fear, you feel, and I understand those feelings, how I can't imagine how it would feel, waking up after doing something like that. But just remember, you can always come back to God, always. All it takes is openness and willingness. That's all it takes in committing to that. That's all it takes. Truly. That's really what it's about. You know, it's not going to be random. You're not going to get forgotten about. You're not going to get left behind. It's nothing like that. It's like, if you're listening to this, then you have the ability to free yourself at any time. But you have to, but there is things that are really important for you to do, which is, again, spiritually clearing this stuff. That's the biggest thing. I think for me personally, if I would have gotten the V or something, if I had it, I would get the spirit. I would get, well, I have, obviously I have had auras and R.A.H, but like, yeah, I would find an aura practitioner or R.A.H practitioner and get that cleared out. That's truly what I would do, because you want to really, really be sure that that stuff is out of you, and then you can really, really start to be free from the matrix. So yeah, if anyone has any questions or comments on that, feel free to add them, please. I really would, if any questions at all, I want to make sure that I explain that really, really well. And I'm going to go ahead and start. I didn't get the chance to really read these comments, so I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff in here. Arcade Alchemist. I had my mercury filling removed after I got sick. Interesting. I don't know if you're still here. Yeah. I'm curious about like a dandelion seed head to keep you constantly anxious when you see them out there. Interesting. Yeah, I know dandelions. I don't know if I'm too familiar with plantains, but yeah, I know dandelions is really powerful medicine. It's sound frequency healing. In order to eradication of a frequency, you need to find what frequency overpowers. Everything has a frequency, exactly. And everything can be brought into dissonance or it can be brought into harmony. Not cheap to get removed. If you have a limitation, like thinking you cannot cleanse, you won't be able to cleanse. So you need to visualize destroying the nanites or whatever metals or bots or sickness, etc. Exactly. Really, really beautiful. That's the line of thinking that you want to start getting on. And again, if you're really, really scared, and this is the last time I'll say this, but if you really, really feel like it's messing with you, then I just have to, it's like my moral obligation to recommend getting one of these healings I'm mentioning done, which you can find in the description below, because that's 100% going to clear you of these things. But that is the direction you want to start thinking in, is starting to clear these things. And honestly, this applies for everyone. This is specifically about the V, which is there's different ones that we've seen, some not so bad, some that are like as bad as they can get, pretty much. But ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is just believing in yourself and acknowledging it and accepting it, but not like giving into the fear about it. Just, okay, I did this thing, probably wasn't the best for my body, but now I'm going to heal it, period. I'm going to heal it. And you connect to God, connect to your higher self, truly start to like connect to these forces of love, and they will guide you. They will guide you to what you need, and you can heal it. The human body can heal anything. Okay, the human body can heal this thing. Again, it's not can the human body heal it, it's more will the human body heal it, which comes again down to your will. It comes down to your will. Do you want to heal it? Are you willing to do this? And this is an extreme example, but as I was saying, this is already something we've all been doing, right? It's like we're all, even before the V, we were already finding things like this in people, finding these, entities, the AI type of things. Like, so it's like we're always spiritually cleansing and healing these things, and physically, starting to eat healthy and cleansing these things that, we don't want to merge with it. We don't want to merge with it. So we have free will. We don't have to merge with it. I work with many peeps who tell me they regret taking it and only did it because of social pressure. Again, trickery is not consent. Consent has to have will behind it to be true and actual. Yeah, because that would be a void contract completely. And those are the people I feel for. And again, like, there is a divine order to this. So it's like, that's why I feel like it's, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like it sounds so crazy, but it's just, I don't know. I'll have to work on that. You have limitless power available. Tap into it. Do it thinking about how it works and not if it works. Exactly. Love a light red Rudy. Beautiful. And if anyone doesn't know, he has an amazing YouTube channel. I definitely recommend tuning in his messages. Pale Horse says, I agree with you, Stellar. However, those who are behind this believe in revelation of the method type stuff. So if they have showed you this somewhere in arts or entertainment, such as movies, they believe themselves to be absolved of responsibility because you were made aware of such thing or situation and still went along with it. Yeah. Not they said are not saying I think that absolves themselves, but they believe it does. Yeah. That's it's so important to know this stuff, you guys. It's not scary. It's just you gotta understand how these things work and how they think, because that is exactly what they do. And that's their trickery, and it's like they try to find this loophole of free will by manipulating people into doing it. Well, that's how psychopaths think. They think, oh well, if you didn't understand what I was saying, then it's your fault and you deserve to get screwed. That's honestly how psychopaths think. But um, and they are able to kind of manipulate this reality with that kind of stuff, but it's always going to come back to them. They're not above it. You can already see it. Even all this stuff, like even this whole V thing in general, their agenda, and they had this agenda for a long, long time. Anybody who knows like this was the plan that they had for a long, long time. So they want to go ahead and do this, and it's like everything, it's going to backfire completely, you know, because it's like it's just, yeah, it always is bad. It's always backfiring on them. You can see it. So yeah, it is. I would say it's both. It's like there is that loophole they try to do, and it has been effective. But at the same time, when humans know their rights, that's what it comes down to. It's like, for example, you get pulled over and a cop wants to search your car without a warrant. Well, they can't do that. You can say, I don't consent to a search, and then that's it. But if you don't know your rights, you just let them search your car, you get busted with some kind of crazy stuff, then you kind of like open up a can of worms. That's why you got to know your sovereignty. That's why you got to know your rights. So, I don't think it is supported by will, but it's just, we have to take back responsibility for ourselves and for our health and for our love and for our life. Because I think those are a lot of people that are kind of just get swept, or maybe just the people that are going to be kind of leaving Earth as those who are so on autopilot that they don't want to participate for whatever reason. They're just so autopilot. They're not really, they're not, and we've all been there, right? They're not really here. They're just kind of like playing. They don't really have a will to change or do anything. They're just kind of here on automatic. When, part of this healing journey is starting to be more conscious and coming back and reclaiming your power, reclaiming your sovereignty. Everyone here, we need to take gradually when doing new ways or methods from our old habits. Everything is energy. We must balance the energy. Can't just stop something because that energy needs a direction or it will automatically go back to what the energy was doing with the old habit. Beautiful. Arcade Alchemist, be meek. Don't try to control people, but you can give them a guide and hope they learn the lessons. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm way behind. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta catch up. All right. Um, there's just so many beautiful comments I want to share. All direct energy must be first accepted by the higher self. Can't just push love onto others. Yes, good point. Great intentions, but we must all is their higher self to accept the love energy. Exactly. Yeah, and I kind of agree with you guys on this here. When it is a limbo area, and Pale Horse says, when it comes to altering the DNA, which is a spiritual transponder on multiple levels, it's fundamentally altering something to some degree. Yeah, and that's why it's so intense. I feel like people try to shrug it off, be like, oh, well, I'm like, this is intense, you guys. This is like, that's why it's hard to understand how truly supernatural this stuff really is. And I have to, like, I do kind of hold back a little bit because I don't want to, like, sometimes it's like I don't want to overwhelm people, but yeah. And there's nothing to be scared about because, like I've been saying, I'll stand by that for sure. As long as you have the will, you can heal anything and you can heal this V. It's just a matter of having the will. But it's just just an example of how intense this realm is, how intense this point is. to get to this point where, you know, this is a global thing that's taken place. This is taking place in the whole earth, where, you know, people have been injected with this mysterious stuff that, you know, we're finding. Yeah, we already get it. All right. Word up. One decision can change your life forever. Yes, it's in your hands. Yours. Otherwise, we'll always look to experts. Yep. Yeah, eternal truth. Music teaches what you just said. Energy can be put into dissonance or harmony. And that's a big part of how I see it, you know. And I feel like a lot of people agree, coming into this realization of, like, again, not trying to fight the old, but trying to build the new. You know, trying to build the new, trying to bring harmony to what already is, you know, because you can't just uproot old systems if you don't have anything, you know, actually better already working in its place. You know, it's just going to be chaos. So it's like we got to, so it's just like, again, you know, I always going to say that is like we're truly building the new and bringing it into harmony, bringing a really living example of what's possible, trailblazing what's possible in, you know, eventually truly in physicality, so people can see. Mm, I'm so sorry to hear that, Annie. Mm, so much love to you and your bravery and courage for being here. Yeah, that's deep. Yeah, the DNA, it's well said. Arcade Alchemist. It's truly beautiful, you know, and we know that we have so much more DNA than scientists understand. You know, I used to joke that, I don't remember, something like, you know, you live in a crazy world when your scientists call 80% of your DNA that they don't understand junk DNA. They literally call it junk DNA. It's like, that's just so crazy. But that's the DNA that we're truly activating. You know, that's what people mean when they say we're activating our DNA. It's literally higher levels of consciousness embodied within us. And it's so possible. You know, we have these two helix DNAs people know about. And this is like, that's like just enough to be able to function, you know. But as we be in the sun, as we heal, as we do what I, you know, the things I've been talking about, connect to ourself, connect to our higher self, connect to God's source, you know, cleanse and eat natural. It's like these types of, you know, healthy habits. It's like we actually start to activate our DNA, activate new parts of our DNA, and it changes our whole operating system. You know, it allows our, because we already have a really, really high consciousness. It's just a matter of allowing this high consciousness to be in this denser body. You know, as we start to lighten it up, it's able, you know, more crystalline energy is able to actually be embodied within us. And that's when we're able to heal faster. You know, that's when we're able to actually have our psychic faculties, because we all have psychic faculties. That's how we're able to, you know, have telepathy and be able to sense things, you know, be able to see things beyond the physical realm, um, you know, all kinds of things like that. So that's what we're getting into, you guys. It's really beautiful. And I just want to give you all so much love and gratitude again for being here, for listening to me. Share all these things. Again, kind of going into a little bit of, you know, some real stuff, but, you know, again, it's always with the intention of empowering, of assisting, you know, because I do have experience with these things. So it's like, it feels like it's only right for me to actually share my experience and what I know and try to help people, because it's probably something we're going to see more and more. I mean, yeah, it's truly incredible. It's truly wild. It's truly weird times, but beautiful times. Commenting here with we know to transform the darkness. These comments are well placed. Love to you guys. Well, thank you so much. That's a really beautiful comment. All right, guys. Well, I feel like I feel concluded with that. We are at about an hour. So I think it'd be good to end this with just a little peaceful moment to ground in and integrate this and to give thanks for this moment. I was just thinking life truly is so beautiful, and we are, all of us who are here listening to this and watching this, truly, we are so blessed to be here and to be having these experiences alone. You know, I guess I was kind of thinking about, what was that? When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, as I was growing up, I listened to a lot of, um, Pink Floyd. It was kind of one of my jams, and especially Dark Side of the Moon. I remember I would have that album playing in my room, like almost 24/7. Even if I wasn't there, I would just have it playing because I just loved it. But and I still love that band. But it's just funny going in retrospect as a kid how fortunate I was to have that in my life, because I just remember how much that opened up my mind and how much it really made me think about things and how precious time is. And I don't want to waste my life doing things that I don't care about or doing things that aren't important to me. Having the opportunity to have these kind of realizations before adulthood, it's like I truly feel so blessed. But that's just me. We all have these kinds of experiences that have brought us here, that have helped us to awaken. And I know it's not easy. It asks us to push past our comfort zone and heal and, do these things again and again and again. But is it not always so worth it to be free? Is it not so worth it to truly start to be free? It's very humbling, and I'm very grateful to be here. And I'm very grateful for all of you guys. And I, send you all so much love and gratitude and optimism and hope and faith. You know, thank you for being here and doing all that you're doing. Truly incredible times, that's for sure. And there's so much beauty and joy to come. And it's like you can feel it, and I was just talking to my friend about how when I really awakened, when I started my journey, it was in 2012. There's a big wave in 2012. And so, again, I have this experience where, and I know there's quite a few people here that have been, awakened even longer than that. But so I have this experience that I can kind of share, though, where I remember how dense it was in 2012. I mean, it was so dense. I mean, it was seriously freaky. It was freakily dense on this earth. I mean, it was like, some of that was probably my own individual experience, but I swear, tapping into the collective, it felt so dense and it was just all around us. And people were just so oblivious to everything. And now, when you look at it, when you look at the collective, because we all can tap into the collective because we're all connected. When you tap into the collective, even though it seems more chaotic on the surface, it's so much lighter. Oh my gosh, it's so much lighter. It really is. It's undeniable, So it's something I really know and feel in my bones. So, I just want to encourage people, truly to be encouraged, because there's no doubt in my mind. Like, it's not because, I'm not parroting something I heard somewhere. It's like, this is truly my experience. And it's very exciting times. It's very beautiful. All right, you guys. Thanks again for listening, for being here. Let's do some singing bowls and some gratitude to all of you. If you can, just take a moment to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just let it go. It's good to just let it out, let out and exhale. Taking little moments throughout your day to just tune in to the present moment and just be. So simple. Coming back to that simplicity. We live in a very complex world. And it's very noble to be able to simplify. Coming into your heart, feeling your love, feeling your presence, just feeling the love that is your presence. To be here right now requires massive love. Even if you're feeling lost or confused, you have so much love within you. Keeping all of this, really. This love. And since it is the first new moon of the year, if you feel called, maybe you can set an intention. More love, more joy, more freedom, more wisdom, more service to others, more healing, whatever it is. Knowing it's already done. Knowing that your higher self is working with the whole universe just for you and for all of us, because we are all an infinite fractal of one, eternal living God. It's all within each and every one of us. May we be empowered. May we be encouraged. May we be strong and wise and loving to ourselves and each other. May we continue to have forgiveness and compassion for ourselves and for each other. Understanding the pain that we've all been in and finding the light, finding the truth, the way to rise above it for yourself and for others. It's always possible. Anything is possible. And so it is. May you all be so loved. I hope you feel so much love. You truly are so much more loved than you probably even know. Surrounded by love and support and gratitude and assistance all around you. The more you tune into it, the more you recognize it, the more you revere it, the more it will come to you, the more you will see it in your life. You know, it's a give and receive kind of relationship. All right. Beautiful. And so it is. Thank you all. Love you all so much. Love, honor, and respect all of you. And I will see you next time. Bye.